Hey everyone, welcome to week 3 here in Photos Month of Tidy24. A quick recap of week 1 and week 2. We have gone over first finding your media, just pulling together all of the devices and folders and cloud services and everything where you might have some pictures and videos stored. And then last week we went over choosing a platform that you want to use going forward. So here in week 3 of Photos Month, your task is to centralize your collection. That means actually pulling everything together from all of the different devices and services and putting it into one place so that you can organize it better. The goal for this task is to pull everything together in one spot. And that makes a lot of things easier. It makes it easier to organize, to sort through, to filter, to back up, all kinds of things that will be important as we continue working towards getting your photos and videos organized. So depending on how complex your list of devices and cloud services is that you hopefully created back on week 1, you might find it helpful to actually label with a sticky note or a simple label printer each device or drive or whatever you're working with as you go through it. In my case, I had a lot of physical hard drives from past decades, and I used that trick as I went through, for example, a lot of these internal ones. You can see this one's actually labeled photos. And as I finished each one, I labeled it to know whether I needed to go back or if there were any issues with it. For example, this poor drive I was able to get data off of, but it's not reliable anymore. Just make sure you know once you've finished with a device, you're free to set it aside and then hopefully not touch it again, at least for the purpose of photos and videos, until you finish the rest of the process. Now, depending on whether you've chosen a cloud platform or something that uses local storage, whether you're going with an all-local system that you manage yourself or one of the services I mentioned last week, Mylio or Monument or something different or similar, there will be some different steps involved in the process of actually pulling your data into one central location. If you're using something that is totally cloud-based like Google Photos, then what you'll need is to use their app either for a desktop or laptop computer or your smartphone or tablet, and just walk through their process of importing whatever photos you have on those devices. And they have pretty good documentation for how to do that, especially on smartphones and tablets. It's fairly straightforward, and you can tell when the process is done. Make sure as you do this that you're focusing, again, on just one device at a time, and you confirm that the import or upload process completes all the way before you move on to the next device. I would recommend doing a quick check on the original device for, say, the earliest photo and the latest photo or video that you have, and compare that to what's available on the cloud service to make sure that everything lines up. Once that's done, go ahead and label or otherwise mark the device as done and set it aside. If you're using something like Mylio, which is an app that works with your hardware for local storage, then you will probably want or even need a dedicated hard drive, at least one, for this part of the process. You might have enough storage space on, say, your laptop or desktop, and if you know that's true, then you can go ahead with that approach, especially if you're also planning to set up backups, which I highly recommend. If you can manage it though, I would recommend getting a dedicated external hard drive just for photos and videos. It makes certain kinds of things easier, like maintaining a local backup copy in addition to an offsite or cloud-based backup. Now, if you've decided to go with a fully local, self-managed photo organization system, you'll almost certainly need a dedicated external hard drive or multiple drives. But the most important thing I want to stress is that as you go through this centralization process from all of your different devices and old drives and whatever, copy, don't move the data. Make sure that your original, unorganized, unmodified, probably messy, duplicate-filled collection stays intact. And the reason for this is if something goes wrong during the import process or potentially during the organization process later, having that fallback of, hey, I still have all of my originals untouched, even if it's on old hardware, that can be a real lifesaver. Hopefully it will turn out to be unnecessary, but you want to wait until you've got all of your media copied over into the central location and at least one simple kind of a backup going so that you know you don't need to worry about that old hardware ever again. So again, make sure that if you're going the route of self-managed local file system storage, you copy all of your media rather than move it, just for safety, until you are completely confident that your new system has a reliable backup and it doesn't matter if the original unmodified, messy old hardware stops working. So if you're doing the local thing, again, you'll be using probably File Explorer on Windows or Finder if you're on a Mac, just copying over all of the media from the original devices into the new location. And what I recommend for that is create subfolders for each of the devices as you copy. So if you have, for each hard drive, a Seagate 500 gigabyte or a Western Digital 1 terabyte, whatever it might be. Or you can label it by device if you know what they came from. Something like old laptop 2009. That makes it clear later on in the process if something goes wrong or if you need to go back and revisit that device for some reason, you know where those images and videos came from. So, quick review. Week 3 of Photos Month here in Tidy 24. Your task is to centralize your collection. And the goal here is to get everything into one spot, ready to organize. You don't have to do any organization yet. You're just getting everything together into one spot to make the next step easy. And remember, copy, don't move if you're doing any kind of manual transfer from old devices. That gives you that fallback in case something goes wrong later in the process, which hopefully it won't, but that's why we have backups. Then just mark each device with a label or sticky note or putting it in a box, whatever makes sense for you as soon as it's done, and you can move on to the next one until you're all through. Getting this far in the photo organization process is a great milestone. There's definitely more to be done, but you're well on your way to getting a solid handle on your photos and videos. Until next time, have a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday.